A massive, shocking strike has hit Crimea, sending Russia's economy into turmoil. Ports are burning, energy pipelines are crippled, and the global market is on edge. Today, we break down every detail: what happened, why it matters, and how this could change the region forever. Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today's story is unlike anything we've seen in Crimea for years. In the early hours, a massive strike targeted critical infrastructure across the region, including ports, energy hubs, and military supply centers. The scale of the attack is staggering, and analysts warn the economic impact could be devastating for Russia. Crimea has long been a strategic region, both militarily and economically. With this strike, the immediate ripple effects are already being felt. Shipping delays, energy shortages, and disrupted trade networks are creating chaos locally and internationally. Russian authorities are scrambling to assess damage and prevent further disruption, but reports indicate that multiple facilities may be offline for weeks. The economic shock is not limited to Crimea. Global markets are reacting to the potential drop in energy supply and trade slowdowns. Energy prices are already rising, while insurance companies calculate losses in the billions. This strike shows how even highly fortified regions are vulnerable and highlights the fragility of Russia's infrastructure. In this video, we'll break down the attack, analyze the immediate and long-term economic consequences, and explore the political and military fallout. Stay with us. Every detail matters in understanding how a single strike could ripple across the world. The strike unfolded at dawn, catching Russian authorities off guard. Eyewitnesses reported loud explosions and thick smoke rising from ports, warehouses, and energy facilities. Satellite imagery confirms extensive damage, especially at key naval bases and logistical hubs. Analysts suggest this was a calculated, high-precision strike designed to maximize economic disruption, not just a military attack. Fuel pipelines, energy storage, and warehouses containing essential goods were targeted, creating immediate supply shortages. The Russian government has started emergency assessments, but detailed information is scarce due to tight media control. Markets reacted instantly, with energy prices surging and stock indices fluctuating. Insurance claims for damaged infrastructure are expected to be massive, adding financial pressure. Experts warn that the strike could cost billions to repair, potentially slowing down economic growth in the region. It also highlights vulnerabilities in Russia's strategic planning, as even heavily fortified areas are not immune. The attack demonstrates that economic infrastructure can be a critical battlefield, influencing both military and financial outcomes. Local residents face rationing of fuel and electricity, while businesses scramble to find alternatives. This event also raises questions about Russia's ability to secure its occupied territories, as the strike exposes glaring weaknesses. The damage is not just physical. The psychological impact on investors, businesses, and the public is significant. The energy sector has been hit hardest by the Crimea strike. Facilities responsible for producing electricity, gas, and oil were severely damaged, disrupting both local consumption and international exports. Analysts warn that this could reduce output significantly, causing energy shortages and spiking prices worldwide. European markets are particularly sensitive to Russian energy supply, so volatility is expected in the coming days. Local residents in Crimea are already facing power rationing and fuel shortages. Repairing damaged plants will take weeks, possibly months, due to the complexity of these facilities and the scarcity of specialized materials. The strike has revealed vulnerabilities in Russia's energy infrastructure, previously considered secure. Beyond immediate production losses, long-term contracts with foreign buyers may be affected, potentially straining international relations. Energy companies are reviewing contingency plans, redirecting resources from other regions to stabilize output. Analysts also warn that investor confidence in Russian energy could decline if security risks persist. Global buyers are closely watching how quickly Russia can restore production, as delays will directly impact supply and prices. The psychological effect on the sector cannot be underestimated. Uncertainty can slow investment and disrupt planning. The strike sends a clear message: no energy infrastructure is completely invulnerable. In essence, Crimea's energy facilities have become a flashpoint with economic consequences far beyond the region, influencing markets, trade, and geopolitical dynamics. The strike in Crimea has sent shockwaves through Russia's economy. Analysts predict slow GDP growth, higher inflation, and potential currency instability. Ports and logistics hubs were heavily damaged, delaying imports and exports and causing supply chain chaos. Domestic businesses face shortages, while international companies are reassessing operations in affected areas. The financial sector is under pressure as investors weigh the risks of prolonged instability. Government officials have promised emergency support, but they must balance security spending with economic stabilization, a difficult challenge. Repair and reconstruction costs could run into billions, straining public finances further. Economists warn that prolonged disruption may reduce industrial output, affect employment, and slow domestic consumption. Foreign investment could also decline, as geopolitical risks rise and investors seek safer markets. Neighboring regions reliant on Crimea for trade or employment may experience heightened economic hardship. The strike demonstrates the direct link between conflict and economic stability, proving how a single targeted attack can ripple through a national economy. In addition, it exposes weaknesses in infrastructure protection, prompting questions about government priorities. The overall message is clear: Crimea is not only a military target, but also a linchpin in Russia's economic network. Markets, companies, and citizens are all feeling the impact, and the full consequences may unfold over months. Global markets reacted instantly to the Crimea strike. Oil prices surged as traders feared supply disruptions from damaged pipelines and energy hubs. Gas futures spiked in Europe, reflecting concerns about reduced imports from Russia. Stock markets experienced volatility as investors assess the potential economic ripple effects. Commodity traders are particularly concerned about raw material shortages and delayed shipments. Multinational corporations paused operations in affected regions, awaiting further clarity. The Russian ruble fluctuated sharply as uncertainty over economic damage weighed on investor confidence. Insurance companies are recalculating risk exposure and premiums for shipping routes and infrastructure in Crimea. The media coverage amplified concerns, creating a feedback loop affecting market sentiment. Analysts warned that the strike could influence foreign policies, trade agreements, and long-term investment strategies. Countries dependent on Russian energy must consider alternative supply sources to avoid shortages. Financial experts recommend hedging against volatility in energy, commodities, and currency markets. The strike serves as a stark reminder of the interconnectedness of global markets and how regional conflicts can trigger international economic reactions. Investors are watching closely to determine whether the disruption is short-term or will have prolonged effects. In short, what happened in Crimea is no longer a local issue. It has become a global financial concern. The strike has thrown Crimea's supply chains into chaos. Ports, warehouses, and logistics hubs suffered extensive damage, delaying shipments of goods ranging from raw materials to finished products. Businesses dependent on timely deliveries are facing shortages, with prices for goods rising as delays accumulate. Industries such as manufacturing, construction, and retail are experiencing the brunt of these disruptions. Exporters face potential contract penalties, while importers struggle to secure essential supplies. Road and rail networks are under increased scrutiny, further slowing transport. Analysts warn these disruptions could persist for months until infrastructure is repaired. Companies are now rethinking logistics strategies, adding security measures or alternative routes to prevent future interruptions. International trade partners are monitoring the situation closely, as delays could impact global supply chains. Insurance premiums are expected to increase to account for heightened risk. The strike highlights the vulnerability of centralized supply networks, showing that a single attack can ripple through domestic and international trade. Consumers may feel these effects as shortages and price hikes, demonstrating that the consequences extend beyond military or economic circles. The event emphasizes the critical importance of robust, secure supply chains in conflict zones, reminding businesses and governments that preparedness is key to maintaining stability. The Crimea strike carries major political consequences. Domestically, the Russian government faces pressure to safeguard its strategic territories and maintain public confidence. The attack exposes gaps in regional security and military readiness, fueling debate over government priorities. Opposition groups may use this event to criticize leadership decisions. Internationally, the strike signals heightened volatility in Crimea, prompting neighboring countries and global powers to reassess policies, trade, and security strategies. It may influence negotiations over sanctions, energy agreements, and diplomatic relations. The attack also demonstrates how targeting economic infrastructure can create political pressure without direct confrontation. Governments worldwide are evaluating the potential for further escalation and its impact on global stability. Analysts suggest political rhetoric may intensify, both within Russia and abroad, as leaders respond to changing circumstances. Crimea's strategic importance makes this strike a pivotal moment for both regional governance and international diplomacy. Political decisions made in the coming weeks could reshape alliances, security measures, and economic policies, underscoring the intersection of military actions, economic stability, and global strategy. Ultimately, the strike proves that infrastructure and economy are not just technical concerns. They are deeply political, influencing power dynamics at local, national, and international levels. The strike also has serious military consequences. Key naval bases, supply depots, and logistics hubs were hit, reducing operational readiness and limiting troop movement. Analysts warned that this disruption could affect Russia's strategic deployment in the region. Despite heavy fortifications, Crimea proved vulnerable, forcing military planners to rethink security measures. Increased spending on defense and infrastructure repair may divert resources from other operations. The attack demonstrates the growing importance of economic targets in modern warfare. Striking supply chains and infrastructure can be as disruptive as direct combat. If Ukrainian forces were involved, the strike signals a capability to reach high-value targets, affecting morale and strategic calculations. International military observers are studying the strike to assess tactics, weapon systems, and regional vulnerabilities. The military impact is closely tied to economic disruption, as damaged infrastructure hinders supply lines and readiness. In response, Russian forces may enhance protection, redeploy assets, and invest in early warning systems to prevent similar events. This incident underscores a broader lesson: controlling infrastructure is a key element of power, and vulnerability in one area can have cascading effects across military, political, and economic domains. Looking forward, the Crimea strike poses serious questions about Russia's resilience. Infrastructure repair, energy restoration, and economic stabilization will require massive investment. Analysts warn that prolonged disruptions could slow industrial production, worsen unemployment, and destabilize currency markets. Energy markets will remain volatile as buyers watch Russian output closely. Businesses and investors may shift operations to safer regions, reducing foreign investment. Politically, the Russian government may intensify security measures, potentially affecting local governance and civil liberties. Internationally, negotiations, sanctions, and security arrangements may shift in response to heightened risks. Economists also highlight lessons about centralized infrastructure vulnerability, emphasizing contingency planning. Supply chain effects may persist, influencing domestic and international markets. Recovery speed and the effectiveness of security measures will determine whether the damage remains short-term or triggers longer-term consequences. Strategically, military, political, and economic decision makers must adapt to new vulnerabilities. The strike demonstrates how a single, high-impact event can reshape the regional and global landscape, influencing policy, markets, and public perception for months or even years. In short, Crimea is no longer just a contested territory. It's a symbol of fragility, showing that infrastructure, economy, and geopolitics are deeply intertwined. In conclusion, the massive strike in Crimea has sent shockwaves across Russia's economy, military readiness, and political landscape. From damaged ports and energy facilities to global market volatility, the consequences are profound. Analysts are closely monitoring repair efforts, security upgrades, and economic recovery, as delays could compound the impact. The strike demonstrates how infrastructure can be a critical battleground, influencing markets, trade, and strategy. Globally, countries dependent on Russian exports must adapt, while investors reassess risk in an unstable region. Politically, the attack highlights vulnerabilities and may shape decisions on governance, diplomacy, and security. Military planners are rethinking defenses, showing that even fortified regions can be targeted effectively. The Crimea strike proves that localized events can ripple across economies, markets, and geopolitics. For viewers, staying informed is crucial to understand the evolving situation. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for the latest updates on this crisis. Turn on notifications to stay ahead of breaking news, market analysis, and geopolitical developments. Your engagement ensures we continue bringing timely, accurate, and in-depth reporting directly to you. Thank you for watching, and stay informed as this story unfolds. The situation is fluid, and every new development has the potential to reshape Russia and the global landscape dramatically.